Good evening, boys and girls of all ages. It is a little off 7:50 here on the West Coast, live in Los Angeles. Eddie G giving you all the latest NBA news and updates. So, it's been the talk all afternoon that apparently Russell Westbrook and along with Steven Adams might have found a new home on this three-team deal that's going to be going on. Apparently, it's on the table. They're all talking right now. It's supposed to be the three-team deal for the ages. So, without any further ado, this article is brought to you by Dylan Huberman of Clutch Points. So after the league-shaking deal that sent Paul George to the Los Angeles Clippers, the Oklahoma City Thunder have been given a chance to start over. In exchange for George, they received a young point guard by the name of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and veteran forward Danilo Gallinari, in addition to a whooping 5 first-round picks with 2 pick swaps. However, the Oklahoma City Thunder have 2 major obstacles stopping them from entering an immediate full-scale rebuild. This is because of Russell Westbrook's and Steven Adams. Fortunately, there is a way that the Thunder can send both of these hefty contracts to separate teams, creating a contender in the East and adding to an intriguing team in the West. The 3 teams involved in the deal are the Thunder, the Detroit Pistons, and the New Orleans Pelicans. In this deal, Detroit Pistons will receive Russell Westbrook, New Orleans Pelicans will receive Steven Adams, OKC will receive from Detroit Reggie Jackson, Tony Snell, Luke Kennard, a 2021 first-round pick, as well as a 2023 first-round picks from New Orleans, and Etwan Moore, as well as Darius Miller and Jason Smith, and a 2022 first-round pick, all compliments of the New Orleans Pelicans. Now the star power is not coming back to OKC for sure in this trade, as none of the 6 players they received have been chosen as an all-star at any point in their careers. However, as can be seen above, all 6 players are linked on either one or 2 deals, which is the key because the entirety of the $50 million deal that they're acquiring will become off the books by the conclusion of the 2020 and 2021 campaign. Believe it or not, the $54.3 million the Thunder received in those 6 players is less than the $64.3 million they're giving away in the form of just 2 players. After garnering 5 first-rounders from Clippers, they'll now have acquired 8 total future first-round picks in close succession. Building around recently acquired Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Thunder will be a force to reckon with in a few years after garnering such lucrative draft capital. For the Detroit Pistons, acquiring superstar Russell Westbrook makes sense. The franchise cornerstone Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin are locked into a hefty contracts and stuck in limbo on the edge of the Eastern Conference playoff pictures. But Russell Westbrook immediately turns the Detroit Pistons into a top echelon team in the conference. With an expensive trio of Westbrook, Griffin, and Drummond, and devoid of 2 draft picks that would belong to OKC, the Pistons are going for it all. They're going for a home run, They're going for the fences. And they're all flat. They'll be. I hope they don't fall flat face on their face if they do miss this. After sacrificing valuable young perimeter asset encountered, their first order of business will be acquiring some 3-point shooters, as the 3 stars they'll have are not great from downtown. The New Orleans Pelicans acquiring Steven Adams may not make a ton of sense given that they just spent a first-round pick on another center, Jackson Hayes. However, Hayes is viewed as a raw talent in need of some polishing, which Adams could provide over 2 years remaining on his deal. This scenario can be likened to what the New York Knicks just did a season ago with Mitchell Robinson, if you remember, pulling the then rookie off the bench in relief of the trio of Luke Kornet and Eunice Kanter, and eventually DeAndre Jordan. Robinson is the center of the future for New York, and using that same logic, New Orleans will get a 2-year audition from Hayes to see if he can effectively take the reins from Steven Adams. Also, with this acquisition, the Pelicans will have unparalleled depth. They'll have a guard rotation featuring Drew Holiday, J.J. Redick, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Frank Jackson, followed by Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Stanley Johnson, and newly acquired Nicolo Melli in a forward rotation, leaving Steven Adams, Jackson Hayes, and Jahlil Okafor as the centers. That could be the deepest bench in the association, and if Williamson, Hayes, Alexander-Walker, and Melly pan out, it could be the deepest bench by a significant margin and a starting lineup contending for championship rings. All three of these teams trade would gain significant rewards. The Thunder build on an already ridiculous amount of first-round draft picks. Detroit builds the best trio in the East that could compete with any team in the conference. The Pelicans, for the cost of some current bench guys that they clearly can do without, based on the list in the preceding paragraph, and one future first, get a proven glass cleaner for a team predicated on ridiculous guard depth beside the forward tandem of Williamson and Ingram. Though this is a complicated multi-team deal for OKC faithful to wrap their heads around, especially since the talents of Westbrook and Adams are not reciprocated, the draft pick compensation will make it well worth in a few years. It makes a little sense to hold on to Westbrook's 4-year contract when they clearly have no intention of winning now after moving Paul George. Russell Westbrook has allegedly made his desire to work his way out of Oklahoma City publicly in recent days. And GM Sam Presti would be wise to oblige now while his market is hottest, with 4 years of commitment remaining on the Brody's contract. With free agency getting hotter by the day, shaking up the market once again with another huge trade is far from out of the questions. The market for key reserves could become even more tantalizing, as the Detroit Pistons would need to build themselves a serviceable bench after dealing the assets mentioned earlier in this trade. The fireworks would be going off around the rest of the conference soon once Russell Westbrook decides to officially sign with the Detroit Pistons. Looking forward into it. It's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Man, that would put them completely right away in contention with the Eastern Conference Finals. Yours truly, Eddie G. That's the latest NBA news and updates. We'll be back with more. Please go ahead and place a comment if you have any questions. We'll see you guys later. Peace. We are out.